May 12, 2020, Forest of Dean, Gloucestershire. Britain is still under strict coronavirus restrictions when a member of the public notices a car behaving suspiciously near an isolated quarry outside Colford. Police officers are sent to investigate. The driver tells them he is waiting for a friend. His explanation does not immediately reveal a serious crime, but the vehicle appears again near Stofield Quarry. This time, officers see two large suitcases at the side of the road. A woman standing beside them tries to prevent the police from opening the luggage. The officers continue. Inside the suitcases, they find burned and dismembered human remains. The woman is 28-year-old Garrica Gordon. Phoenix has not simply vanished. For almost a month after killing her, Gordon has been using Phoenix's phone to convince friends, relatives, and housing staff that she is still alive. She has sent text messages in Phoenix's name, disposed of her possessions, ordered industrial-strength bleach, purchased a circular saw, and made repeated journeys while searching for a place to destroy what remains of the evidence. The suitcases are not the beginning of the crime. They are the final stage of a cover-up that almost succeeded. And hidden inside Phoenix's phone are internet searches showing that after she was stabbed, someone researched punctured lungs, internal bleeding, and whether a person could recover from the injuries. Before we reconstruct how police uncovered each stage of the deception, subscribe to the channel. Every case here is rebuilt from official police findings, court reporting, digital evidence, and verified records rather than rumors or invented drama. Subscribe now so you do not miss the next complete true crime investigation. Now, let us return to the quarry, because a chance encounter during lockdown was about to expose a murder that had remained hidden for nearly 4 weeks. The first officers had approached a man sitting inside the suspicious vehicle. Registration checks showed that the car was connected to an address in Wolverhampton. The driver said he was waiting for a friend. Because the country was under lockdown, officers issued him a fixed penalty notice for breaching coronavirus regulations. The contact might have ended there, but the car was seen again near the quarry. Officers also noticed the two suitcases. Gordon was close to them and appeared determined to stop the police from looking inside. When the luggage was opened, the reason became clear. Gordon was arrested on suspicion of murder. At that moment, police knew what she had transported. They did not yet know where the victim had been killed, when the death occurred, or how long Gordon had been moving the suitcases across England. The investigation began with identification. The remains belonged to Phoenix Nets. Phoenix was 28 and originally from London. She had been living in supported accommodation on Salisbury Road in Birmingham. The property was a house in multiple occupation used as a refuge. Phoenix and Gordon lived at the same address. In the months before the murder, Gordon developed a sexual and romantic interest in Phoenix. Phoenix did not return those feelings. According to evidence later presented at Bristol Crown Court, Gordon repeatedly asked Phoenix for sex. Phoenix rejected the requests and became increasingly frightened by Gordon's behavior. In February 2020, Phoenix told a friend that Gordon had demanded a sexual relationship and became aggressive when she refused. By April, the problem had intensified. On April 7th, Phoenix sent a message explaining that a woman where she lived kept asking her to be sexual. Phoenix said she was considering moving back to London. She also said the behavior was scaring her. 4 days later, on April 11th, Gordon contacted the Samaritans. During that call, she described liking another woman and wanting to have sex with her. The prosecution later argued that the focus of the call supported the evidence of Gordon's fixation on Phoenix. Gordon's interest had become intense. Phoenix's rejection was direct. And Phoenix was preparing to leave. For Gordon, That meant losing control over the person she wanted. 5 days after the Samaritan's call, Phoenix made her last known contact. In the early hours of April 16th, she spoke to a friend by phone. The friend later tried to call her again. Phoenix did not answer. Investigators believe she was murdered that day inside the Birmingham property. The exact sequence of the confrontation was known only to Gordon, but the medical and digital evidence allowed police to reconstruct important parts of what happened. Phoenix was stabbed 4 times. None of the wounds would necessarily have caused immediate death on its own. She survived for a period after the attack and died hours later. That delay is one of the most disturbing elements of the case. Someone had time to seek emergency help. Someone had time to call an ambulance. Instead, Phoenix's phone was used to search for information about her injuries. The searches included questions about how to repair a punctured lung and the effects of internal bleeding. Those words suggest that Gordon understood Phoenix might still be alive after the stabbing. The prosecution's case was that Gordon attacked her after Phoenix rejected her sexual advances and made clear that she intended to move away. After Phoenix died, Gordon faced an immediate problem. Both women lived in the same accommodation. Housing staff, friends, and family could attempt to contact Phoenix. Her room and belongings connected her to the address. A body inside the property would expose the crime almost immediately. Gordon began constructing the impression that Phoenix had left Birmingham voluntarily. She took possession of Phoenix's mobile phone. Messages were sent to friends and relatives, pretending to come from Phoenix. The false story was that Phoenix was safe, doing well, and returning to London. Similar communications were sent to a housing officer. At first, text messages could delay questions. But people who knew Phoenix began to expect more than typed words. They wanted to hear her voice. Gordon responded by using audio editing software. She created distorted voice messages and sent them as though Phoenix had recorded them. This was not an impulsive cover story lasting a few hours. The impersonation continued for weeks. The deception bought time. While Phoenix's loved ones believed she was communicating with them, Gordon was purchasing equipment and removing evidence from the house. She ordered industrial-strength bleach online. She bought cleaning products and a sleeping bag. She arranged for waste disposal companies to collect carpet, a bed frame, and Phoenix's possessions. Then Gordon ordered a circular saw. Police later found the tool in her room. The prosecution said it was used to dismember Phoenix's body. Gordon was working through a practical problem. She needed to move a body from a shared property without attracting attention. A complete human body would be difficult to conceal and transport. The suitcases provided the containers. The saw made the remains fit inside them. Gordon researched whether a body could be burned to ashes with petrol. Other searches concerned methods of destruction and concealment. Before transporting the suitcases to the Forest of Dean, she moved them away from Salisbury Road. Police later established that she took the luggage on 2 separate days from the house to a cemetery in Handsworth. The suitcases were hidden there for several days. Gordon began making trips to Colford. Investigators found that she traveled to the area repeatedly by train and in a vehicle arranged through an advertisement on Gumtree. The journeys were part of the preparation. She was searching for a remote place where the remains could be burned and abandoned. On May 12th, almost 4 weeks after Phoenix was stabbed, Gordon attempted the final disposal. The suitcases were transported toward Stofield Quarry. The remains had already been burned to some extent. Gordon's plan had apparently not achieved the destruction she intended. Handwritten notes found later showed she was considering moving the remains again, possibly toward Wales, to burn them further. The cover-up was still unfinished when the police arrived. The officers were not responding to a missing person investigation. They were responding to suspicious behavior during lockdown. A member of the public reported the car. Police checked it. The same vehicle was seen again. Then officers noticed the suitcases. The case was exposed not because Gordon confessed or because the disposal plan reached its conclusion, but because ordinary people paid attention to something that did not look right. Once Gordon was arrested, investigators from Gloucestershire and the West Midlands had to connect the quarry to the house in Birmingham. The suitcases established transport. The next question was where the killing occurred. Police searched the Salisbury Road accommodation. Inside Gordon's room, they recovered the circular saw. They also found handwritten plans and notes relating to the movement of the body. Digital examination revealed the orders for bleach and cleaning supplies. Waste companies confirmed the removal of the carpet, bed frame, and possessions. Phone evidence exposed the messages sent after Phoenix was dead. Internet history revealed searches about the stabbing injuries and attempts to burn a body. The messages from Phoenix's phone were especially damaging. Gordon was not merely hiding a body. She was trying to control Phoenix's identity after taking her life. Friends received words that appeared to come from Phoenix. Family members were reassured by a person they believed was still alive. A housing officer was told Phoenix had moved. The false messages prevented the people most likely to report her missing from understanding that anything had happened. When suspicion increased, Gordon did not abandon the deception. She created altered voice recordings. That extra step showed she understood text messages were no longer enough. She needed to produce something that sounded more personal, even if the audio had to be distorted. Investigators also examined the motive. Phoenix and Gordon had lived at the same refuge, but there was no consensual romantic relationship between them. Phoenix's April 7th message made that clear. Gordon kept asking for sexual contact. Phoenix was frightened. She wanted to return to London. The prosecution described Gordon's desire as an obsessive and unrequited fixation. She did not accept the boundary. She became aggressive. And when Phoenix prepared to leave, the violence escalated into murder. Phoenix's decision to move was important because it placed an end point on Gordon's access to her. Once Phoenix returned to her family, Gordon could no longer demand attention inside the shared house. She could not control where Phoenix went or whom she contacted. The attack removed Phoenix's ability to leave. The impersonation then allowed Gordon to invent a version of that departure. In the false story, Phoenix had gone back to London willingly. That lie was carefully selected because it matched something Phoenix had genuinely been considering. Gordon used Phoenix's own plan to explain her absence. Gordon was charged with murder. The case was due to proceed to trial, where prosecutors were prepared to present the communications, purchases, searches, forensic findings, and disposal route. On April 21, 2021, shortly before the scheduled trial, Gordon appeared at Bristol Crown Court. She pleaded guilty to murdering Phoenix Nets. On May 4, 2021, the court heard how Phoenix had been stabbed 4 times and left to die. It heard about the circular saw. It heard about the suitcases and the journeys to the cemetery and forest of Dean. It heard how Gordon had contacted people through Phoenix's phone. It heard about the altered voice messages. And it heard about the internet searches made after the attack. The prosecution also presented the evidence of Gordon's sexual demands and Phoenix's fear. Phoenix's message from April 7th gave the court her voice. She had identified the problem herself. She said another woman kept asking her to be sexual. She said she was scared. She said she wanted to leave. 9 days later, she was stabbed. The judge sentenced Garika Gordon to life imprisonment. The minimum term was 23 years and 6 months. That figure is important because it is sometimes incorrectly reported as 27 years. The judge's sentence reflected both the murder and the extensive actions taken afterward. Phoenix was not killed in one moment followed by immediate surrender. She was injured, denied medical help, dismembered, transported, burned, and impersonated. The crime continued through every effort to prevent her family from learning the truth. Phoenix's parents described an enduring and indescribable loss. Their pain was intensified by the condition in which their daughter was found and by Gordon's use of her phone. They had been denied the normal ability to contact Phoenix, search for her, and understand what she was experiencing. Instead, the person responsible for the murder controlled the information reaching them. The family thanked the members of the public, whose suspicions led to the police response near Colford. Without that report, Gordon might have moved the remains again. The handwritten notes suggested she had not finished attempting to destroy them. She had considered Wales as another location. The chance discovery prevented the next stage. Phoenix's phone allowed Gordon to delay suspicion. It also stored the searches that revealed what happened after the stabbing. Online ordering allowed Gordon to obtain bleach, cleaning products, and the saw without entering multiple shops. Those orders created records connecting her to the equipment. Vehicle hire and train travel allowed her to move between regions. Those journeys formed a route investigators could follow. Audio software allowed her to create false voice notes. The existence of those files demonstrated the sophistication of the impersonation. The circular saw was not simply described by a witness. It was recovered from Gordon's room. The disposal route was not based on speculation. Police traced the suitcases from the Birmingham address to the Handsworth Cemetery and then toward the Forest of Dean. The false messages were not remembered vaguely. They remained on devices. The searches about punctured lungs and internal bleeding placed attention on the period when Phoenix may still have been alive. The search about burning a body connected directly to the condition of the remains. The case was built from alignment. The motive aligned with Phoenix's messages about unwanted sexual demands. The timing aligned with her intention to move. The medical evidence aligned with the injury-related internet searches. The purchases aligned with the dismemberment and cleaning. The journeys aligned with the movement of the suitcases. And Gordon's behavior at the quarry aligned with someone desperate to stop police from discovering what was inside. Phoenix rejected the advances. Phoenix planned to leave. Phoenix was stabbed. Her phone was taken. Her identity was imitated. Her room was cleared. Her body was divided. The suitcases were moved. The remains were burned. Then Gordon was found beside them. The internet searches are especially difficult because they suggest awareness that the injuries might be survivable with intervention. A punctured lung and internal bleeding are medical emergencies. The proper response is immediate professional help. Gordon searched for information and still did not call for an ambulance. The next 4 weeks were not marked by uncertainty about what to do. They were marked by method. Buy the supplies. Remove the furnishings. Use the phone. Create the voice messages. Cut the body. Hide the suitcases. Test the route. Arrange transport. Find somewhere isolated. Attempt to burn the remains. Prepare another destination in case the first failed. Gordon had repeated opportunities to stop. She could have contacted emergency services after the stabbing. She could have reported Phoenix's death before dismembering the body. She could have abandoned the impersonation. She could have left the suitcases where police would find them and surrendered. At every stage, she continued. She was a daughter and a friend who had told someone she was frightened and wanted to return to her family. The danger came from someone who refused to accept those boundaries. The refuge should have been a temporary place of protection. Instead, the person sharing the accommodation became the threat. Phoenix's words before the murder now form one of the clearest warnings in the record. She did not describe a mutual romance that ended badly. She described repeated unwanted requests for sexual contact. She described fear. The crime was not the result of Phoenix confusing Gordon or giving her false hope. Phoenix said no. Gordon chose not to accept it. The investigation also showed why the location of the suitcases mattered. Gordon had not simply driven to the nearest isolated road after the murder. She had spent time testing routes, moving the luggage in stages, and considering additional locations. The Handsworth Cemetery acted as a temporary hiding place. Colford became the planned disposal area. Wales appeared in her written notes as a possible next destination if the burning attempt failed. That sequence allowed detectives to show preparation rather than one uncontrolled decision. Gordon was adapting whenever a problem appeared. When Phoenix's absence risked being noticed, she used the phone. When text messages were no longer convincing, she created voice recordings. When the body could not remain inside the accommodation, she divided and packed it. When the first hiding place was temporary, she arranged transport farther away. When the fire did not destroy the remains, she considered moving them again. The lockdown encounter interrupted that process. Had the vehicle not been reported, Gordon may have continued toward another location. The officers initially had no reason to expect a murder. They were checking suspicious travel during restrictions. Only after the car reappeared and the suitcases were seen did the investigation change completely. This is why the public report became one of the most important moments in the case. A person noticed something unusual and contacted police. That small decision prevented the remains from disappearing again and gave investigators a scene from which the entire timeline could be rebuilt. The evidence later recovered in Birmingham connected the final location to the original crime. The saw remained in Gordon's room. The online orders documented the supplies. The removed carpet and bed frame indicated an attempt to strip the scene. The messages showed impersonation. The searches showed concern about Phoenix's injuries and the destruction of a body. Each category of evidence came from a different source, but all pointed toward the same person and the same sequence of events. On May 12, 2020, the truth was found inside 2 suitcases near a quarry. The suspicious car led to the luggage. The luggage led to Phoenix. Phoenix led detectives to Salisbury Road. The room led to the saw. The purchases led to the bleach. The phone led to the false messages and internet searches. And those searches led back to the hours after the stabbing, when Phoenix was injured and still might have been alive. Gordon tried to erase a person. Instead, she documented the process. She tried to convince Phoenix's family that their daughter had returned to London. Instead, she created proof that Phoenix could no longer speak for herself. She tried to destroy the remains in the isolation of the Forest of Dean. Instead, a member of the public noticed something unusual, and police arrived before the cover-up was complete. The case ended at Bristol Crown Court with a guilty plea and a life sentence. But its most important evidence was created before any courtroom hearing. It was Phoenix's message. A woman kept demanding sex. Phoenix was frightened. She planned to leave. 9 days later, her phone was in the hands of the person she feared. For weeks, that person pretended Phoenix was alive. The messages stopped deceiving people only when the suitcases were opened. And the murder Gordon tried to hide in Birmingham was finally exposed beside a quarry more than 70 miles away. If you want more deeply researched true crime cases like this, subscribe now. The next investigation is already waiting, and you won't want to miss it.